Hello everyone, welcome to Carnivorous Plants Hub. I'm really excited to bring you an update today on my Ping Rock kit that I got here from California Carnivores. I wanted to fulfill my promise and bring you an update frequently on this because I think it's a really cool project. This is about 30 days in, so I kind of wanted to bring you the 30-day update. On top of kind of just showing you what it looks like and updating you on the pings, I wanted to give you some advanced tips. Just things that I've kind of learned since doing this. There's some things I'd do a little bit different if I was going to do it over, which is kind of hard to do now, but I wanted to give you some kind of cool tips on lighting and watering and the soil and everything, and then just kind of give you an update on some of these pings here. Now, I'm going to try to kind of go over these pings with you and show them to you, but do keep in mind that it's hard to sometimes identify these pings when they're young and without a flower. So if I get some of these a little incorrect, I apologize. I think I have them down which one's which, but if I mess some of them up, I'm really sorry about that. But as they flower, I'll be able to identify them and give you a better idea for sure with 100% certainty which one is which. But let's go ahead and get started here. One of the things that I really wanted to do with this kit is I really wanted to grow a lot of moss. So you can see I kind of strategically placed some moss throughout here in different areas and hoping that the moss would spread. And one thing you can see right here is you can definitely see that the moss is really starting to spread throughout different locations. And it looks like it's usually kind of tied to the locations where I have a piece of moss that I put in. See right there, this one's spreading down and over. In the back here you can see the moss is doing a really good job of spreading. Got some LRC back here with the moss all the way around, doing a good job there. The only place right now that the moss doesn't really seem to be spreading much is right onto the rock itself, and I think there's a reason for that, and we're going to talk about that a little bit here, and I think it has to do with the water. But as you can see, if we get up here, you can see that not only is the moss not really spreading up here, but it's also kind of dying off, and I think that's just a lack of water up here. So I'm changing my watering methods just a little bit to kind of accommodate for this top part of the rock, because I really want the moss to kind of grow throughout the whole thing and not just on the bottom. But so let's go ahead and I'm gonna kind of show you some of these pings. Hopefully I can identify some of these for you. One of my favorites right now I think is the Mighty Mouse right here. You can see these are just absolutely beautiful. They're really turning pink, and they kind of have the white highlights on the outside of the leaf, which makes them almost look kind of 3D and really stand out. They're just absolutely beautiful. I have that little group there, which with the moss, the contrast with the green and the pink is just stunning. And then there's another one right there, and I think there's another one right here on the back. Yeah, so there's the Mighty Mouse. And the next one here, actually real quick before I show you that, I just wanted to show you this so you can see how you can get your hands on your own ping rock. I'm super pumped about teaming up with California Carnivores. They're one of the most experienced and knowledgeable carnivorous plant nurseries in the entire world. They have a massive selection year-round of all types of carnivorous plants. There will definitely be something in their nursery you fall in love with. On top of that, they've also been generous enough to offer my viewers an exclusive 10% discount on their order when they enter CP Hub at checkout. That's CP Hub. Head on over and pick out yourself a new carnivorous plant to add to your collection. You know you deserve it. Let's go ahead and get back to the video. Thanks so much for listening to that. I really appreciate it. I think my other favorite one here that I really like is this Lilac Lollipop. You can see it grows kind of greenish whitish in the middle and then has the purple on the outside. Almost kind of like a Cyclosecta a little bit. Similar coloring, but the purple's more of a highlight, where the Cyclosecta, the purple kind of comes in a little bit more. But you can just see that's a really beautiful. Let's see how close we can get here. Just a really beautiful little ping right there. Just absolutely gorgeous. Again, with that green, it just kind of helps it really pop. So once this whole thing turns really green, these ones that are different colors are really going to pop. Over here, this little cluster here, I believe is my Snow Angel cluster. They got these kind of pinned behind this little seashell we have here. You can see they're doing really good. Beautiful little cluster there. Those ones also are starting to get some good color on the top here from the light. This one here is my Sethos. This is the one that I put in. You can see it's one of the few that's actually caught a gnat here. But the Sethos has changed radically. This was a really green one that I had on my windowsill, and you can see it's the shape of it is kind of shorter and rounder, where when it was green and it was using windowsill light, it was kind of a longer leaf, and it was definitely a lot more green. And then this one up here is also a Sethos that I put on right on the top here. So those two are doing good. This one actually they shrunk just a little bit, and I think it's from the exposure to the light. They didn't necessarily shrink as much as they did just kind of change shape. All right, over here, this one here is the Bebop Lollipop right there, and then I believe this little cluster over here are also Bebop Lollipop. I don't know for sure on these ones, but I'm pretty sure that they are. So they're doing really, really good, kind of growing next to this little cluster of moss right there. You can see those ones are really, really pretty too. I'll get a little bit closer to this one here for you so you can see it a little better. Bebop Lollipop. And then on the back here, well, actually before we get to the back, I have this one right here on the side. Only one of my Cyclosecta made it, which I'm a little bit bummed about. But there is one growing right there. The other ones were really, really tiny. I had them up here, and they just didn't quite make it. For whatever reason, they were just too small, or they weren't getting enough water. I'm not sure what happened, but they just kind of withered away, unfortunately, and it's going to happen to some of them. Then on the back here, we have the Ellersay right here. These beautiful, they almost look like little white rosebuds. Just absolutely beautiful. Now these ones probably haven't colored up quite as much because they are on the backside, and the backside just doesn't get quite as much light. It's hard to get them all a lot of light, and since the majority of them are on this side over here, I tend to keep this side more pointing toward the light, so those probably have gotten a little bit less light than some of the other ones. And I think that's all the pings that we have here. Again, as they flower, I'll be able to tell for sure which one's which. Now that I have you, I wanted to give some kind of more advanced tips on what I think is working. Check out the video. I'm going to show you and pop this up real quick. You can see I'm watering it, and instead of watering it and spraying it on the top here, like California Carnivorous kind of suggests, what I'm doing is I'm actually watering the bottom basin and kind of filling it up, and then you'll be able to see with the time-lapse video I'm going to show you, this rock will actually absorb a lot of that water that goes down in the basin. So what I'm doing is I'm letting this basin fill up, and then I'm letting the rock absorb the water. It takes about 5 hours for the rock to completely absorb the water and the soil on the rock. And then what I'm doing is I'm actually watering this basin again, not so it's puddling up full, but just so that it's really wet in the basin. And since I've been doing that, I noticed that I've been getting better moss growth, and I've been getting a little bit of moss growth up on the rock here. You can see this moss growth here is just recent, kind of back there, and I think that has a little bit to do with the extra water. And then what I'll do is every 2 or 3 days, I will also spray the top with a mister, and that way the top is getting a lot of water, and then this basin stays full, so all the bottom is getting a lot of water. What was happening before is this, I would kind of spray everything down and get it really wet. The water would absorb in this basin a little bit, so this bottom was staying watered, but this top would dry out much quicker. Like within a day or two it would dry out. So ever since I've been doing it this way, this usually stays more watered for like 3 or 4 days before I have to add much more water. So with lighting, I do recommend a grow light if possible. Now you can grow these in a windowsill. I think that they would do fantastic. You might not get the really, really pretty color that you're seeing here with some of these. These might be more of a greenish color. But you can definitely do this on a windowsill if it's a windowsill that's getting, you know, probably at least 6 hours of sun a day, so probably a southern facing windowsill. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that if you have a setup like mine here, I'll get down so you can kind of see it's a slope, it's a rock, it's kind of like a little mountain. So these ones on the back here just don't get quite as much of the light, so you want to make sure that you're rotating this fairly regularly to make sure that all your pings on all sides are getting exposure to that light, and then that way they all kind of continue to get that light and that growth. The other thing that I recommend is if you do have a windowsill where you're only getting like 4 hours of sun, maybe use a grow light to supplement it, like the Sansi grow light. The grow bulb that I have in my description is really, really good. Or if you want to just put this under a grow light for 10 to 12 hours a night, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm actually putting this under a pretty strong grow light, and that's why you're getting some of the really, really good coloration. It will dry out a little faster, so you have to kind of stay on top of the water, but you will get this more kind of variation in color with the pings, whereas if you don't use a stronger grow light, you'll get more of a greenish, like if you're just using the windowsill. But I would say that the Sansi bulb, if you put it probably, you know, 8 to 10 inches above this, and you blast that thing for 8 to 10 hours, 12 hours a night, you're going to get the same type of coloration that I'm getting. It'll be really, really beautiful, and it'll do a really, really good job. So that Sansi light is in the description if you're interested in that. The other thing that I would do a little bit different, I think one of the reasons that it's not staying watered up here is that I didn't put enough soil on top of the rock. So if I was going to do this, can you see there's patches here where there's just no soil? I would probably pack down a little bit more soil all over the rock here so that there was a little bit more for the soil to retain water, so that it stayed watered up here a little bit longer. I think that's probably something that I would do a little bit different. You can see I had opportunities here to put in more. I just kind of put a really thin layer, and I think if you did a thicker layer it would hold that water a little bit longer in the soil and you'd have better growth on top. So just something to keep in mind if you're doing a similar setup as mine. Wherever you decide to put your ping on the rock, I recommend putting either a little bit more soil, or if you can fit in some of that sphagnum moss. I didn't do a very good job of putting a lot of the sphagnum moss on here. That might also help if you can, if you're like in a little nook, like right here, fill that with some sphagnum moss and some soil. This peat and sand mix, and that should do a much better job of retaining water so that they grow a little bit better. But overall, yeah, this is about 30. I think it's been about like 32 days, but this is where we're at. I'm going to continue to update on this, so make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video. That stuff helps me out so much, really immensely. I really appreciate everything you guys do for me. Being here, watching my videos, and supporting me, it just means the world. So thank you so much, and I hope to catch you in my next video. Bye.